Good morning students. How are you all doing? Are you all fine? Stay happy. So where have we reached? We were taking the chapter named The Mysterious Picture. I'll give you a brief about the chapter or the things we have learned in the last class. We have our main character named Tile in this chapter and he has a donkey too. Both of them came to Battenberg where they met the Archduke of Battenberg. They came and he wanted to show his pictures to this Archduke. Archduke means what? The emperor there. Yeah, right. So he wanted to show the picture to the emperor. First there was this captain of guards who didn't allow him to enter. But finally when he found that Tile is a painter or an artist, he gave him permission to enter. Then he came, he met the emperor, he talked to him and he told him what? He told him, I have a picture with me, the picture of their queen. Her name is Virgin. So he has the picture of Lady Virgin. So he shows that to him and what? Emperor got really excited and he loved the picture. So the emperor is asking, what can I do for you? So he wanted to feed his donkey and he wanted to feed himself too. There the emperor is asking, where is the donkey? Bring him in. So they brought the donkey. That is where we stopped, right? Now we will be going to the next paragraph and we will see what happened after bringing the donkey in. So here are the new words. First one is dissonant. Descendant. That is the pronunciation. It means ancestors. And the second one is summon. It means to call. Ancestors means the forefathers. So we'll go to the paragraph. Before long, supper was served and it was like a wedding feast. The tables were loaded with every kind of food and drink. Wine flowed like water. The courtiers stuffed themselves with the choicest dishes. The Archduke made Tile eat and drink until his stomach was about to burst. So in this paragraph, we have the feast showing, like the dinner. We have the dinner table there. There are many type of dishes. So we'll go line by line. Before long, supper was served and it was like a wedding feast. The supper looks like a wedding feast. That means there was so much dishes. So it was like a wedding feast. Feast means what? The type of food and dishes we get for wedding. Or it looks like so. The tables were loaded with every kind of food and drink. As I told you before, there was every kind of food and drink. Wine flowed like water. The courtiers stuffed themselves with the choicest dishes. So there was wine which was flowing. It doesn't mean that it was flowing on the table. There was so much bottles filled with wine. And all the courtiers, that means the people who lived there, were stuffing themselves with every food items they could possibly stuff. The Archduke made Tile eat and drink until his stomach was about to burst. So the Archduke made Tile eat and drink everything and made him eat until his stomach was about to burst. That means it was about to break. The Archduke gave him so much food that he was totally full. Like his stomach has no space left for anything else. So in this paragraph what we saw is, here we have our Tile and the emperor, which means the Archduke, serving him everything possible. And when he started eating, Archduke is giving him more and more food until his stomach was bloated. So we'll go to the next one. The Archduke too ate heartily. His face was flushed with the drink, but he seemed lost in thought. He suddenly looked up and said loudly, our court painter must paint our portrait, so that we will have the satisfaction of leaving our memory to our descendants. We too have to take our place in history along with our noble ancestors whose portraits adorn these walls. It is sad to think of death. We do not know when God will think fit to summon us, but our portrait should be painted. We can go line by line. The Archduke too ate heartily. That means Archduke ate food heartily itself. That means he was very happy to have the food. His face was flushed with drink. That means he was drinking and he had so much drink in his mouth and the face was bulging out. But he seemed lost in thought. He was thinking about something else. Even though he was eating, he was thinking about something else. He suddenly looked up and said loudly. So he stood up and he said loudly, "Our court painter must paint our portrait so that we will have the satisfaction of leaving our memory to our descendants." He's saying, we want our court painter, which is now tell, he has to paint their portraits, that means their face, on the walls. Why? So that they'll be happy while they die, because they have all their ancestors' pictures on the wall. We too have to take our place in history along with our noble ancestors whose portraits adorn these walls. It is sad to think of death. We do not know when God will think fit to summon us. He's saying we don't know when God will call us, when we will die. We don't know about that. So we want our portraits on these walls. But our portraits should be painted. So he's saying our portraits should be painted on the wall. So that is an order, right? Okay, we'll go to the next one. So here we have the new words. Accompany. Accompany means to go with. So if somebody is accompanying you, that means they are also coming with you. Next one is rival. Rival means competing. To have competition with someone. Next one is splendor. It means great or splendid. Some events or something which is very beautiful, very splendid. That is the meaning. Chivalry, which means men at arms. That means the soldiers or the people who are ready to fight. Now we will go to that paragraph. Tile quickly replied, "Your lordship's slightest wish is to me command. All the same, I do feel rather unhappy about painting your lordship all by yourself. Is it not terrible to think of your lordship being lonely for ever and ever? Don't you think, ladies and gentlemen, that His Highness should be accompanied at least by Her Highness, her ladies, the noble generals and captains who adorn this court? A court like this has few rivals in splendor, loveliness and chivalry. In the midst of such valor and beauty, I will make my lord and lady shine forth like the moon surrounded by lanterns." Now we'll go line by line. Tile quickly replied, "Your lordship's slightest wish is to me command." So he's saying when the lordship is saying something, that means when the Archduke is saying something, that is a command for me. That means he is very happy to do that. All the same, I do feel rather unhappy about your painting lordship all by yourself. So he's saying, I have a slightly feeling like I'm unhappy because I don't want to paint the lordship alone. I don't feel that is beautiful. Is it not terrible to think of your lordship being lonely forever and ever? He's asking, isn't that really sad? Isn't that really unhappy? Because the lordship will be alone on the wall. If he is painting the lordship alone on the wall, forever and ever the lordship will be alone there, right? So isn't that really sad? Don't you think, ladies and gentlemen, that His Highness should be accompanied at least by Her Highness, her ladies, the noble generals and the captains who adorn this court? Next he is asking to the people who are sitting there, ladies and gentlemen, don't you think the king should be accompanied by his queen and the ladies over there, then the captains and the people or the courtiers all over there? Now he is asking to the people who are sitting there, ladies and gentlemen, don't you think our king should be accompanied by his queen and the ladies and the court people and the captains? Then the picture will be like full and it will be very beautiful to see. Here if they are only painting the picture of the emperor, it will be like him staying very lonely there, right? Okay. A court like this has few rivals in splendor, loveliness and chivalry. So he is saying a court like this has no such things which are not good to hear. It has many things which are very beautiful and lovely things. It has nothing like rivalry and all, the people which are fighting towards it. It doesn't have such things. It has very good memory and very good history. In the midst of such valor and beauty, I will make my lord and lady shine forth like the moon surrounded by lanterns. He's saying, if I get a chance to paint the king and the queen and the people or the courtiers and the captains, I'll make it very beautiful like the moon surrounded by the lanterns. We'll go to the next one. We'll go to the brief of the paragraph we have just taken. Here we have telling to the Archduke, I'll do whatever you say, but I don't think it will be very nice if you are staying in the portrait alone. We want the queen, we want the courtiers, we want the captains, everybody accompanying you in the picture. That will be very beautiful. That is what he is saying to the Archduke. Now we'll go to the next one. The Archduke thought that it was a good idea. Well, my friend, your painting will be a great piece of art. What reward do you expect for it? 100 pieces of gold. You can pay me now or later, just as you please. Here are the 100 pieces of gold in advance, said the Archduke, giving him the gold. Now we'll go line by line. The Archduke thought that it was a good idea. When Tile said that he need somebody to accompany, like the queen and the courtiers and everybody to accompany the king in the picture, Archduke felt that as a good idea. And he is saying, well, my friend, your painting will be a great piece of art. What reward do you expect for it? Archduke is asking to Tile, what do you want for it? What is the reward you are expecting for it? 100 pieces of gold. You can pay me now or later, just as you please. Tile says, I need 100 pieces of gold. You can pay me right now or you can pay later, as you please. That means as you wish. Here are the 100 pieces of gold in advance, said the Archduke, giving him the gold. What did Archduke do? He gave him the gold right after when he asked. So he gave the gold right when Tile asked. That is what happened there. So the brief of this paragraph is, after Tile suggesting he needs somebody to accompany Archduke for the portrait and it will look good, Archduke accepts that, he agrees to that and he thinks that as a good idea and he asks, what do you want as a reward for painting this? Tile says, I need 100 pieces of gold. Archduke gives him that right away when he asked. We'll go to the next one. My lord, you are the most generous of masters. You have filled my lamp with oil. It will forever burn in your honor. Here, what is happening? These are the balance of the last paragraph. We'll go line by line. Tile says, my lord, you are the most generous of masters, which means you are very generous, you are very kind, you are very giving. You have filled my lamp with oil. So here it's considered as a metaphor. He is saying, you filled my lamp with oil. He is giving light for Tile's life. It will forever burn in your honor. That means I am going to owe you for all these things until I die. We will go to the next one. The next day, Tile asked the Archduke to allow him to see all the courtiers who were to be painted along with him. They came and saw him one by one. The first one to come was Commander-in-Chief of the army. He was short, fat, bald man with an enormous paunch. He whispered in Tile's ear, when you paint my picture, remember you are to make me look handsome. If you do not make my stomach look flat, I'll have you hanged. Remember, I was once a very handsome soldier. We'll go line by line now. The next day, Tile asked the Archduke to allow him to see all the courtiers who were to be painted along with him. So here, Tile is asking the Archduke to bring everybody, like all the courtiers, whose portrait he should be painting. So the Archduke is bringing everybody so that he can see and he can note down what all things he has to paint. They came and saw him one by one. The first to come was the Commander-in-Chief of the army. So the first person who came was the Commander of the Chief. He was the person who is in charge of the army. He was a short, fat, bald man with an enormous paunch. He is what kind of a person? He is short, he is fat and he has bald head, which means he has loss of hair and a pouch. That means a stomach which is really big. Pot belly. He whispered in Tile's ear, when you paint my picture, remember you are to make me look handsome. He is saying, when you paint my picture, you have to make me look very handsome. If you do not make my stomach look flat, I'll have you hanged. Remember, I was once a very handsome soldier. He's saying, you have to make my stomach flat or else I'll make you hang. That means he'll kill Tile. And he's saying, I was once very handsome. I was very beautiful once. Now I'll give a brief. In this paragraph, Tile is asking to bring all the courtiers whom he has to paint, and they are coming. The first person is commander of the chief of the army, and that person is very short, fat and has bald head and a pouch. That means a stomach which is very big, pot belly. And that person is saying, you have to make me look very beautiful in the picture or else I'll kill you. Come to the next paragraph. We have a new word here which is duchess. It might not be a new word, even though I will tell the meaning. It is the queen or the emperor's wife. We will go to the paragraph. An elderly lady came next. She had a large hump on her back. Sir Painter, she said softly, make me look young and beautiful. If you don't remove the hump on my back and supply what I lack in beauty, I will have you torn into pieces. A young lady who was the companion of the Duchess came in as soon as the old lady left. She was young and pretty, but had lost 3 of her front teeth in an accident. She was young and pretty, but had lost 3 of her front teeth in an accident. We'll go to the sentence by sentence meaning. An elderly lady came next. She had a large hump on her back. So after the commander of the chief, here comes an elderly lady who is old. She has a hump. You know what is a hump, right? So she has a hump on her back. Sir Painter, she said softly, make me look young and beautiful. So she wants to look young and beautiful in the portrait. She is asking this to the painter, which is Tile. If you don't remove the hump on my back and supply what I lack in beauty, I will have you torn into pieces. She is warning him. If you are not making me look beautiful, I'll torn you into pieces. That means tearing him to pieces. Means destroying him only. After that, a young lady who was the companion of the Duchess came in as soon as the old lady left. After this old lady left, a young lady came. She is the companion of the Duchess, which means she is the companion of the queen. She was young and pretty, but had lost 3 of her front teeth in an accident. So this lady is really beautiful, but she lost 3 of her teeth in the front row. She warned Tile that if in her picture she didn't see herself smiling with a perfect set of pearly teeth, she would have him cut into small bits by her lover. She pointed to the captain of the guards. Similar requests and threats continued until he had finished with the last of the courtiers. Then the Archduke sent for him and said, my dear fellow, I want your portrait to be perfect in every detail. You are to paint all my courtiers exactly as we see them. If you leave out a mole, a pimple or a single grey hair, I'll have you slaughtered like a pig. She warned Tile that if in her picture she didn't see herself smiling with a perfect set of pearly teeth, she would have him cut into small bits by her lover. She pointed to the captain of the guards. Here this young lady is saying, when you draw my picture, when you do the painting of mine, you have to give me a perfect set of teeth and a good smile. If you are not doing that, I'll cut you into pieces. And she is pointing to her lover, which is the captain of the guards. Similar requests and threats continued until he had finished with the last of the courtiers. So all of the courtiers who came here had such type of threats and requests. They want them to look very beautiful in the portrait. Then the Archduke sent for him and said, my dear fellow, I want your portrait to be perfect in every detail. After all the courtiers, Archduke came. He said, I want your portrait or the painting you are going to do to be very much beautiful and perfect. In what sense it should be perfect? You are to paint all my courtiers exactly as we see them. If you leave out a mole, a pimple or a single grey hair, I'll have you slaughtered like a pig. He's saying, when you draw the pictures, you should not left anything out. That means you should not leave anything out. You should mark even a mole, a pimple or a grey hair, everything you should mark perfectly. You should not make them look other than them. You should not make them look more beautiful than they are. If you do that, what I will do? I'll slaughter you like a pig. That means he'll also kill child like a pig. So that is the whole thing which you are taking today. I'll give you a brief summary. Today what we saw is that child came to Archduke, and Archduke is giving him a good feast. So Archduke fed him with so much food and drinks and all. Then they were discussing about the painting, about the portrait which Archduke wanted him to paint. So in that picture, here Tile is saying, I don't think that the Archduke should be alone in the picture. Tile wants the Archduke accompanied by his lady, that means the queen and the ladies of the court and the courtiers and the guards and everybody. So after hearing this, Archduke said, okay, I agree to that. And then Tile got the chance to meet all the courtiers. Here when he met them, all of them had their own wills. They wanted to look beautiful, they wanted to look handsome. But the Archduke says, you should not make them look what they are not. You should make them look the same way they are while we see them face to face. You should not add anything, you should not diminish anything from their face. So that is where we have reached today. So that's all we have taken today. If you like the class, please subscribe to this channel. And if you have any doubts, you can comment it below. I'll see you in the next class. Till then, thank you students.